All right, Connor, we're coming. We're coming for that booty, Connor. All right, everybody. Today we're gonna be talking about Connor's video, a little degeneracy action. Someone told me to watch it. Usually I watch a decent amount of his content anyway. Somewhat friendly with this clown. In fact, he's probably one of the only people who watches some of my YouTube videos. Um, it's weird. I don't not like the video. I think he hits on a lot of important points, and I don't think I'm gonna watch the whole video and respond to it point by point because I don't think it really deserves that in some sort of like takedownish fashion. Um, I think he's right about a lot of points, but what I think he sort of misconstrues is he talks about degeneracy and how like that's a type of like social decay, and talking about how people engage in hedonistic lifestyles but do it in like the wrong way, right? Where you look for fulfillment through banging whores, drinking, using ecstasy, drugs, partying, and all that, and looking for that momentary happiness. Now and he talks about how the left seems to like glorify that type of individualism, and to credit where it's due, I think you attribute it largely to society as a whole, how we sort of encourage this sort of lifestyle. um, I think a lot of lefty YouTubers um, understand the point you're making, and when you see, maybe not just YouTubers, I mean lefties in general, when you see people make the point about do what makes you happy, we're not just referring to some sort of hedonistic use drugs, do this, do whatever, and you sort of end your video like going back to if you can find happiness doing these things, then do them, but I don't think you will find happiness doing that. You tend to find happiness through spending time with your family, through building a family, through developing community relations. Humans are social creatures, and that's generally how we find the most well-being. Um, what's funny, because the criticism I feel like Counterpoints is making here. Sorry for anyone who watches who's not familiar. Counterpoints' name is Connor, so I might bounce back and forth between calling him Connor or Counterpoints. The point he's sort of making here is that deriving pleasure in your life and deriving that value from momentary pleasures is a very vacuous, meaningless existence, and that perhaps moving towards some sort of more traditional lifestyle can give you that happiness. Now, I don't think he's wrong on this, but I think we're conflating a few things here. One, when he says traditional, I know what he means, or I think I know what he means. And I think he's referring to the idea of having a family and being content by having simple things, having community relationships, having a loving family. Sometimes you drink a little, sometimes maybe you smoke with somebody, but having those meaningful interpersonal relationships is what I think he means by traditional values. Something that the people left leaning would generally wholeheartedly agree with. Socialism tends to be very community and society orientated. At least the good ones. There are some bad left people who will not be named here because it's irrelevant. But a lot of it is based around that. And what you're actually describing here in this video, I'm going to link the video because someone else can watch it and then respond to it. Most of there's probably a fair amount of overlap between me and Connor anyway. For the people who watch me, probably know me from his Discord server and whatever. But what is it? What you're describing is the cancer that is capitalist-driven consumerism, and I agree with you. I think people deriving value from stuff is bad. Now, I'm not saying having stuff is bad. I think you can have things that accentuate your life and can accentuate your happiness. Having the physical means to pay for you and your family to go on a once-in-a-lifetime trip to Disney World might be a really good thing for your family. Maybe going to the Grand Canyon or Yosemite or Yellowstone or any one of the marvelous things that exist in this country that act as stuff you guys can mutually share in and enjoy and bond together. I think are things that material conditions should exist to survive. But me saying I need I don't know, a new leased car every 3 fucking years and I need to constantly upgrade my house so I can fit more meaningless bullshit. I'm trying to look around my desk. I actually don't buy a whole lot of random bullshit. Actually, there's stuff behind me. Let's see. That shelf is filled with meaningless trinkets. They are not largely mine. There's random cups and shit on the top that serve no value. There's stupid little fake pumpkins. I think those are fake squashes. Random candy from Universal Studios. And a sign that says "Eat shit, Trump." And a picture of my dogs. I like the picture of my dogs. That's the only thing that's really mine up there. But like having worthless bullshit like that is just like, it gives you momentary happiness in like a world, like a world that fundamentally robs you of those communal relationships. So I understand what he's getting at here, but I think like you just attributing it to like, or Connor just attributing it to like people wanting to embrace these lifestyles are, it is like sort of like misidentifying or misaddressing the problem. People embracing in momentary happiness is a byproduct of the society we live in. It's not just something people just choose, like, I'm going to derive happiness from using cocaine and like going and like having sex with lots of people. And it's like, well, no, like when we lived in this society where we have like, we're atomized across society where we don't really feel like we have meaningful community relationships. People don't go out as much. Generally, you have a lot of friends online, particularly during COVID. And people who are in like their 30s, like it's hard to like build friendships, like build community relationships, and in that vacuum, that's where people look for other outlets, like playing video games or using drugs or drinking alcohol or doing all these things that give you that momentary pleasure, and they serve to dull the pain. That's what these things do. They dull that sense of like that lack of community that people are experiencing. And I just don't want to make this entirely like an anti-capitalist rant, but like this is what you're talking about. They, like this byproduct of like enjoying those moments of like satisfaction. Like I happen to really enjoy roller coasters. I feel like that's one of those things that kind of like makes me feel alive a little bit. But I also value like spending time with my family. Like I actually flew home during the pandemic, like a month ago, to, you know, ostensibly help my parents with IT related stuff because they're having issues with their internet. But it was like, that was the thing where I was like, okay, fine, I'll come back for this. But before that, it's like, dude, I just want to see my family. Like I usually travel to California to visit my sister, to New York to visit my parents, and I live in Florida. They visit me all the time. Or it's great that we're able to do that. But like I haven't been able to do that, and like I miss my family. Not for nothing, my parents are in their 60s, you know, like only got so many more Christmases and Thanksgivings where we all get to spend time together, and it hurts when people don't get to do that. And whether or not it's your biological family, whether or not it's a commune you live in, whether or not it's a whole community where you guys have a giant Thanksgiving and you like close off like your cul-de-sac and you have a nice like giant Thanksgiving that's like community orientated. Like I think all these things are great, and like these are all things we should encourage at a societal level. But like I feel like the thing that you're identifying, the degeneracy you're attributing to like, I think you're overly attributing it to like leftism, because if I were to argue with someone who is a conservative, who argues about like freedom and individualism, like if I'm trying to reach somebody, I'm going to reach them where they are. If I'm talking to a social conservative, I'm going to talk about how like we both value, and I'm not lying, these are all genuinely true, but I'm going to emphasize the thing that they're most going to relate to. Like if I'm talking to a social conservative who values family, like, yeah, in my socialist utopia or whatever, guess what? You work 24 hours a week, 28 hours a week, and the rest of that time you're spending with your family. You're not working 80 hours a week, unable to find a girlfriend because all your meaningful interactions on dating websites that are half filled with bots and deactivated accounts and people who just don't thumbs up you on some random app like fucking Tinder. Like, not this meaningless existence, but like where you have extra time to spend with people, not where you work 80 hours a week and then maybe you go to a bar and you drink excessively so you have the courage to talk to someone, and if you're lucky, maybe you take it home and fuck the shit out of them for 4 hours before, you know, you guys falling asleep and when you sneaking off in the morning, you know, like having some like weird like altercation like that. It's like, oh yeah, that was cool. I went and like fuck this hot chick at a bar. Like, okay, like, well, what now? You know, like does that make up for you having to work 80 hours a week because you got like, you know, your dick wet or your hole stuffed on like one given weekend? Like, not really. Probably like softens the loneliness a little bit. Like, I mean, we've all had experiences like that. Like when I first moved to Florida, like I didn't really know anybody, didn't really have friends. When I got a job, I was like, cool, a good thing about this, I'll be able to meet people my own age. I ended up getting a job where everyone I worked with was like 60 plus years old. Like, we were a bunch of retirees. I was the only person below 30 years old. And it's like, okay, I guess I'm not making friends here, you know? Um, and like there was an intense loneliness. And I was like, I'm like a pretty individualistic person. Like I don't mind. I enjoy spending time alone a lot, but like there's an upper limit for anybody. It doesn't matter how much you think like you like spending alone time. When it's not a choice, it's terrible. When you're saying like, oh, like my family's in the other room and I just want to like lay in bed and like watch a movie or like stream a TV show. Like having that option to spend time with people, even if you need some alone time, is important. But when you want to spend time with people and you can't, that's when like that loneliness creeps on you and you go looking for like those meaningless things to fill it, whether it's drug use, whether it's arguing politics on the internet, or any innumerable other things that give your life some sort of meaningful value, at least in that moment. Like I used to argue on the internet with random people for well, I still do this, I guess, but not as much anymore. But during like the height of that, like I would literally just go home and I would spend like 6 hours just debating politics on the internet because like it gives me like an adrenaline rush, and like it provided me like this moment of happiness and like purpose that like once I logged off like Discord or Reddit or whatever, like it would just disappear. It'd be meaningless. And like similar to Connor, like yeah, you're always going to be recovering from like having from like deriving too much value or deriving all your happiness from these vacuous like instances and like moving away from that. But like that's what I think like a true leftist project aims to do. It aims to enhance like the human experience, enable individuals to have self-actualization through facilitating like community engagement. Yeah, but like I don't think like Connor's take here. I would say he overly denigrates like the left's perspective on hedonism. Like when I say like do whatever you want because it makes you happy, I genuinely mean that. I think you should do things that provide you not just short-term happiness, which is what I feel like he attributes to in this video, but long-term happiness, like having a family, being in a relationship, doing stuff that you derive value from, not like working so that you can live, not wait, working to live, not living to work. I think that's the turn of phrase. Where like you have a job so that you can do other stuff. Like I have a job that gives me tons of time off. I only work 3 to 4 days a week. I have tons of time off, and like I didn't think I'd like this job, but like I like that I have all this extra time to fly home for the weekend or go on a vacation somewhere because I have mountains of time off on top of like barely working. Like I have all these things at my disposal that make a job like this that doesn't pay particularly well provide some level of value that increases my enjoyment. And I think that's something that a lot of people want. Like unironically, like I don't think I've talked about this in a video, but I mentioned some people. I don't mean to come off callous, but like COVID, if it wasn't for the disease, COVID would be great. And that's a weird thing to say for me because like my job that I already didn't work a lot at, I now work half of that time while getting paid the full amount, and I have tons more free time. Now the unfortunate part is I spend that free time in my 900 square foot apartment. Not going out as much. I go out a little bit more now, but like COVID's ticking up again, so I'm probably going to stay home more frequently. But not traveling, not going to national parks, not going to do all the outdoor stuff and that I usually enjoy doing with family and friends. Like I'm just doing less. It's like, man, I have all this free time now, and I literally can't use it. And that's my millstone during this time of crises. And like it's a good problem to have comparatively, but it's like, man, imagine if I had all this free time. If everyone had all this free time, and we can engage civically with one another, right? You can have meaningful engagement with local politics. You can spend times doing stuff that you value. Like whatever. That's like the leftist project I think like most people value. And to the extent that we talk about like that like individualism and that like do whatever you want, it's if you're talking to like someone who's libertarian and just like fuck you, like do whatever you want. We talk about like how universal healthcare enables you to do whatever you want, or how like if you want to use drugs, it's your decision. I don't think drugs are a good idea, but if you want to use them, that's your right. It's your right to make mistakes, and we'll help you out if you make those mistakes and you need help recovering from drugs. But I think that long-term project like involves that like human element that we're aiming to like cultivate around through like I don't care if it's a religious or a secular lens. Like I used to be probably similar to Connor, like very like anti-religious, like the edgy Sam Harris atheist when I was like, I don't know, 16 through like 22, 24 or something like that, where I was like, oh, religion is the source of all evil. And it's like, people just suck. Religion is one of those things that helps us in some ways, hurts us in others, and just one of many things. He talks about fascism in this video. Fascism is the thing that actually made me realize, I guess religion's not terrible, Like, I'm like, oh, religion's why people think irrationally. No, people are just irrational. That's what it is. People are irrational, emotionally driven creatures because it's helped us survive up until this point in life. And fascism is one of those entities, alongside some like religious extremism, that utilizes that fear response humans have to radicalize us and make us extreme crazy and like whatever. It makes you a Trump supporter. But like that's what it's just one of those things. But like you can get good things from religion, like Connor's talking about. Like saying like, hey, there's value in raising a family and enjoying the little things in life. Like some of the best time. Like I don't even like fishing. Oh, fuck, there's a closing scene to, let me see. Stargate SG-1 Jack fishing. I love this fucking show. Let's do these two. Like I don't even like fishing, but like the times where me and my dad are just like sitting out by like a rip. My dad used to work like 90 plus hours a week, like build his own business. So like when I was younger, I didn't really know my dad, and now he works like only like 60 hours a week and takes more time off and like does whatever he wants more or less now. But like just sitting by like the lake near their house, and like he's fishing and I'm just sitting there and we're bullshitting the whole time, and we'll sit there for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, and he'll just sit there fishing. Like sometimes you catch stuff, sometimes you don't. And like it's just about like the people you're with and the time you're spending with them, not so much the thing you're doing. Like all this time, like yeah, we can go fishing because he likes fishing, and I like spending time with my dad. And okay, let's do this one. So this is for context, this is a show called Stargate SG-1. I think its initial run ended in like 2005, maybe. It's a great sci-fi show. I was never a Star Trek or like a Star Trek or Star Wars fan. Love fucking Stargate SG-1 though. They go through a portal, go in all these worlds. It's just a group of 4 people. It's a very like happy-go-lucky, but they have like seasonal like plot arcs and like multi-season arcs while having like really good episodes, and the characters are really really fun. So it's one of my favorite fucking shows. And the main character Jack is like this sort of like simple. He's like this simple guy who just like enjoys some of the little things in life, has like a very like straightforward approach in contrast to like 2 of his teammates. One's like a scientist and one's like a paleontologist, who are very like rational. And he's just like, yo, let's just do this the easy way. Let's all just go home, like whatever. So like this is after they finish like saving like the Earth from like aliens blowing us up or something. And he's always harassed his team that he's with to, is this really not gonna work? God, this is such potato quality.
This is great.
I told you.
So he's always harassed them to go fishing, and this is them at the end of the season having saved the world, and now they're just like sitting by his lake house, just fishing, you know?
Can't believe we didn't do this years ago.
Yes, well, let's not dwell.
There are no fish in this pond, are there?
Nope.
Like that part where like we're just here and they're like, this is great, we're just sitting here, like they just finished like saving the world, now they're just sitting on a dock just fishing, and then she's like, there's not even fish in this pond, is there? And he's like, nah. But like that's the point, it doesn't matter whether there was fish in the pond. The point is you're sitting with people who you spend so much of your life with, who you love and appreciate, who you bond with, and it doesn't matter whether the fish are in the pond. Just like I'm sitting next to my dad and it doesn't matter, you know, whether he catches a fish or not. Like that's like the thing is the company you keep. Anyway, like that's the whole point. Like I would like more time to go sit next to a lake with my dad where no fish are being caught. And I think more people want stuff like stupid shit like this. And that's the other 2 people from the team just rolling up. See, all 4 of them just being friends. I don't think anything really happens here. They just scroll out, and that's like the season closer. If I'm not mistaken, this was supposed to be the conclusion to the entire series, because this show is constantly on the verge of getting canceled. Sorry, I love this fucking show. I love so many things. I love the sequel to this show, or the spin-off. I love this. Didn't watch for it. Yeah, I think this was the ending to like season 5, after they like killed like one of the big baddies of like the whole show. It's kind of cool. They had like 4... Sorry, I'm gonna keep talking about it. I know I said I was gonna stop, but they had like seasonal arcs, and their show was constantly on the verge of getting canceled. So they had all these like really cool like season endings that can function as like series endings. So they would basically end an entire arc after like 1 or 2 seasons, or in the case of this one, I think it was like 3 seasons. They're like, oh, we're not going past season 5. And I think this is how season 5 ends. And then they keep getting renewed. So it ended up going like 10 or 12 seasons or 10 or 11 seasons, I think. And it's really cool because they have to explore all these different like mythological story arcs. But anyway, that's sort of it. Connor, I don't think your video is that bad. I don't think any like actual like not brain dead lefty won't be like super mad at you, apart from how you, I feel like, straw man lefties. And also you're making a criticism of consumerist culture that is a lefty critique that I don't think you're attributing to lefties, but whatever. Modern conservatives don't give a shit about consumerism. They want their, you know, their newest minivan to drive the kids to soccer while they get their newest pair of Dolce & Gabbana sunglasses and see what new purses are on sale or whatever the fuck. You know, this is like the anti-consumerist culture does not exist in the modern conservative movement, largely because they're driven by this whole like, oh, we need to make stuff and buy things and get more things. And it's like, yeah, you're missing the point. But yeah, I think that, like, your focus on leftism as like this form of like degeneracy, I don't think is where like a lot of people on the left derive their value from. At least like some of the more like well thought out ones. But all right, 2 videos in a day. That's wild.